Hello and welcome to the Student Mission Podcast. My name is Matt.
And mine is Josh.
And we're part of the team here at Fusion. And at Fusion, we have a vision for every student to find hope in Jesus and a home in the local church.
So tune in each episode as we chat to students from across the country and hear captivating stories of what God is doing in awakening this generation.
And we hope that by hearing these stories, you feel inspired to reach those around you with the love of Jesus. Well, welcome everyone to the Student Mission Podcast.
Let's go.
Where are we? Should we give some clues?
Okay. It's got an IKEA that looks out, and the restaurant looks out at a port, and you can see all the cruise ships coming in.
Yeah, that's right. We're in Southampton.
I know, that's the key difference, isn't it? The key identifying factor. There's an IKEA that looks out at the harbour. It's beautiful. We love Southampton.
Yes, we do. I've not explored much of it, if I'm honest. But tell us a bit more about South. Should we do some celebs?
Okay, for all you Twitchers out there, we've got Chris Packham.
Twitch? I thought Twitch was a gaming app.
I thought it was about bird watching.
Great. Chris Packham either loves
If you
gaming
like
or
birds.
birds. Yeah, great.
Chris Packham.
My mum loves Chris Packham.
Chris Packham CBE, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, he's got something.
Well
whatever
done,
that
Chris.
stands for.
Really proud.
You know what? When I was looking at the top 100 graduates from Southampton,
Yes.
I was really struck. Not surprised that there's a lot of naval graduates. That makes sense.
Because of the boats.
Because of the boats.
Yes.
Yeah, and the Navy.
Yes.
But you know what really took me by surprise is how many Taiwanese politicians have graduated.
More than one?
From South, like 5.
5?
In the top 100. Who knows in the top 200.
That is really interesting.
Yeah. Why Taiwan?
What a mystery.
What a mystery.
How mysterious.
It is big mysterious levels. Actually, you know what? We're gonna do one for the young, one for the millennials.
Okay.
And one for the 80s people.
Gen X or the boomers? Boomers. One for the millennials, one for the boomers.
I don't know if it's boomers.
All right, Gen X.
Anyway, okay, Gen X.
Yep.
Craig David.
Took her for a drink on something. No, Craig David. Anyway.
I go to Victoria's Festival quite a lot down in Portsmouth. And
Is he
Craig David
there?
is almost always there.
Is he?
Yeah. Man loves a festival.
He loves it down here. Okay.
And perhaps for you 80s fans, Brian Eno, formerly of Roxy Music, who co-produced a lot of David Bowie, things like that.
I know David. I don't know who Brian Eno is.
He's a big name. Big name.
Sorry, Brian.
So the first female president of Southampton CU
Was who?
was my mum.
You're joking.
I know.
Your mum, really?
I come from
no way.
powerful stock.
Oh, well done.
The spiritual history, though.
Yeah, that would be really, really helpful. I've heard there's something to do with football.
Yeah, so the church that we're in today, St. Mary's, you can check
Looking
out
beautiful.
the beautiful background. St. Mary's Church actually is the birthplace of saints of Southampton Football Club.
Oh,
I know.
who are the saints? Oh, sorry. The football club started in this church.
Yeah.
That is a fascinating
Right.
fact, actually.
I'd love to be a fly on the wall. Like,
Yeah.
were they playing football in here and they got told to take it outside?
Is it like annoying youth group vibes where you're like kicking a ball around church and like, take it outside? And so they take it outside, build a stadium, and the rest is history.
I mean, there's a few of these stained glass windows don't have anything in them, so I reckon that probably wasn't the bomb that came down in World War II. It was probably the football.
Amen. That's a very good fact. I like that a lot.
Again, another fun fact about this building specifically.
Go on.
There has been Christian worship on this site since roughly 642 AD. So we're talking 1,400 years.
That was good maths.
I may have looked at an article earlier.
Well done.
But
That's a long time, isn't it? Wow,
mad.
that's amazing.
like Jesus was what, 2,000 years ago?
Yes.
So we're talking like almost the entire time.
That is mad, isn't it? That's crazy. There's been worship right here on this ground, and now here we are.
To think that this is the backdrop of what we're seeing in Southampton.
Amazing. It's amazing.
In more recent times, just over the road from where we are now at New Community Church, Pete Gregg, founder of 24/7 Prayer, first received and shared a word around unending prayer. And since then, we've seen 24/7 Prayer movement.
It's global now, isn't it? Amazing. And amazing to
Absolutely
think
beautiful.
started across the road. Pete's praying in Southampton, and now the rest is history. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, there's so much that's happened in Southampton over the years. It's so encouraging to know that's the backdrop of where we are today.
And then today we get to continue.
Come on.
To I guess see some of the fruit of that spiritual history of all of prayer that's happened, not just in this building, but across this city. And now we get to see some of the fruit of it as we interview and chat to students today who have been awakened to Jesus in the last few years whilst at university here in this beautiful city of Southampton. So why don't we get into our first conversation, shall we?
Let's go.
This is Kai.
Guy, thank you so much for being on the podcast. It's great to have you with us. How are you?
I'm very good. Very good.
Why very good? Why not just good? Why very good?
So I managed to submit a paper. Like I need to submit like last Friday. It was for today. So I had no stress today. So I could just wake up and do some good things, study without pressure.
Nice, the dream.
That is
no
the dream.
extra stress on your shoulders.
Yeah, just to wake up and just go about your day. Oh,
Yeah.
so good.
That's probably why I'm very good.
We'll take it.
What are you up to in life?
So at the moment, I'm at the university. Yeah, I'm on my third year of psychology, counseling, mental health.
What does that look like?
I'm enjoying it. Like, I'm really enjoying the whole process of learning how to think better, how to help people, like to theories and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that it is a good moment. I would say I'm living a good moment in my life.
And what made you decide to do that course?
So it was not the case before. In 2022, I have done foundation year in sports and exercise psychology.
Okay.
Which is like my background. I used to play sports, and I say, that's a good way to go. After the first year, when I start getting to know more about God and what I thought that who was His calling into my life, I changed my course to psychology, counseling, mental health.
Wow.
Tell us a bit about life. And you're not from Southampton originally, are you?
No.
So tell us.
Despite my British accent, I'm not from here.
Nice.
So how long have you lived in Southampton? Walk us through a timeline of your life so far.
I grew up in Brazil. I'm from Brazil, Rio de Janeiro. So like I grew up in the favelas, like in the slums. So when I was young, got involved with drugs and like crime, stuff like that. But I used to be good at playing football. And I managed to get over that kind of lifestyle through sports. Wow. And I kept like playing football. And when I was 18, I had a knee injury in my cartilage. And so I had an early termination in my career because like you cannot operate or do anything about it. So, and that after that moment, I kind of like I lost kind of my identity because my identity was based in like being an athlete. And after that, I spent a lot of time struggling to find my way in life. And I decided to go to Italy first because my dad's from Italy. I spent a year in Italy and I realized, this is not for me. I came back to Brazil, started to study sports at the university. I've done 2 years, that's not for me. And then I went back to Italy and that's not for me as well. And then I said, I'll go to Australia.
Okay.
And I was afraid, so I said, I'll go to England first. I learn English and then I'll go to Australia.
Nice, good plan.
And then but in this whole going back and forth from place to place, I think I was really lost and trying to I was thinking that going to different places would sort my issue. And it was always fine, new issue. And so came to the UK, and then during this whole time I was using drugs a lot, drinking a lot, partying a lot, and it was always something that I was using to numb everything in my life. Basically, I was working, doing things, but I was thinking about those moments as the highlight of my week. And in 2022, during this time in the UK, I started to deal drugs. I started to sell drugs and spent some time doing that. And in January of 2022, I went to kind of do a drug deal with someone else. And then when I was there, it was a trap. And then they got me into the house, and then they kept me there for the entire night. They went in my house, stole the drugs I had, money, even personal belongings and everything. So, and in that moment, till that moment, I knew that there was a God, but because of my injury, I remember when I was 18, I blamed God, and I kind of created a hate towards him. You're so good, why? I put all my effort into this and now it's not happening. And I always had that hate towards God. But during that moment, the hate went gone. Say like, God, please help me here. And yeah, so that day, like after like, everything that happened, I managed to get away from that place. And yeah, just like that shock, like it changed something in my brain. And also like after that moment, I started to pray more, like say like, God, I started to have an idea that God helped me to get out of that place in a safe situation. After that, like a lot of small things happened in my life where I was living in a big house and I had to like find a way to get rid of the house because it was expensive and I didn't have the money anymore. And I managed to find someone to take over the contract. Like my ex-girlfriend at the time, she was going away for a month and I told her my story, what happened to me. She allowed me to stay in her place for a month. And my dad was living in the UK, in London, and he was going to China. His wife is Chinese, so he was going to China for 2 months. And then after like this whole thing, I spent 3 months without paying rent in London, which is very expensive. So because of that, I managed to pay my debts, like because I had drug debts. After that, I started like, okay, God's real. Like I had 100% certainty that God was real. And I start praying, like into like, God, now help me to find something that I can do with my life now that, I need to do something meaningful with my life. And I started to do like open university courses and I found like sports psychology and I was reading and like doing some courses around the area. Say, this is really nice because I was kind of like learning things about myself or like studying that thing. And like in a very like fast-paced way, everything started to change. And I enrolled in the university in that same year. I started the university in 2022. And I spent that year was just like exploring faith, like reading the Bible. And I promised God that I would go to church every Sunday. But during that first year, I was still drinking. I was still like partying. I was still like going out with my friends. Yeah, so I kind of like, sometimes I used to go out and then go drunk to the church, but I was still going because I promised that I would go. Step by step, things start to change. In 2023, I decided to go and spend a month in Thailand. And my initial plan was to go there, bring my Bible, read my Bible every day, and, just explore a little bit. But the second day, I started drinking heavily again, and I stopped just like 3 days before leaving Thailand. But in those last 3 days, I started to reflect in everything. And the question was like in my head, like, now I know God's real. What I'm going to do about it? I'll just live my life the way I want, knowing that God's real, or will I like do something about it? And I decided to come back to the UK and fast. Say like I'll fast alcohol and even like contact with women. Like I'm not like sending messages to women. I'll cut that off of my life because I knew that was like the whole issue that was going on. And after that, like those first 3 months was when I really like started to have a deeper relationship with God, really, like, because I was not going out anymore. I was like trying to spend more time like reading the Bible and spending time with God. After that, everything started to change. And during like in the morning, one day I just wake up and decided that I wanted to leave London, so I need to get out of this place. And I start looking around where I could move. That they had this sports psychology course, and I found I wanted also to go to a place that was close to the sea, and I found here in Plymouth. And I just like Southampton stuck in my head because they had a football club. So like, yeah, that sounds a good place to be. And I thought that the sea was close as well. I just looked at the Google map, and when I came here, I was so sad. But that's another story. Yeah, so I came to Freshers Fair at the university, and I met Will and Sam. Will works for Fusion, and Sam works at St. Mary's, and they kind of analyzed what were like my intentions with church and like my profile, and they kind of like, oh, you're gonna be better at this church if you go there. And we're gonna have a service tonight. Sam was the kind of the pastor, youth pastor there, and yeah, I came and I was really good. Like, say, oh, that's a really good place to be. And I started exploring my faith in this church and get to know more people. And before that, I was exploring faith on my own. I was just going to church, but I was not like really connecting with people because I say like I'll just exploring this thing on my own and see like what happens later. And yeah, coming here, like getting to know all these people, like yeah, so it was so good to be part of a like real community, and it was so much easier to grow in faith as well. I realized, yeah. So and then there was a day where like everything changed for real in my life, where I was in the morning service here, and I just like at the end of the church, usually people pray for each other, the worship song going on, and everybody was kind of like praying as well. And I opened my eyes, and I just had like a sense or like a voice in my head. I don't know how to really explain that well, but it was like something saying like it was not your decision to come to Southampton. Like I put that desire in your heart, and that's why you're here. Like you're here to learn more about me. And I start crying like really heavily. Like I couldn't stop crying for like an hour or something like that. And I was like kind of crying, and I was like thinking in my head, oh, people will think some bad happened to me, but I couldn't communicate as well. So it was kind of like trying to communicate and I couldn't. Yeah. So after that moment, I realized, say like that's what I want to do with my life. I really want to be with Jesus.
Wow. That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. When you came to St. Mary's, when you came to church, I guess began a journey with more of a community. Is that right?
Yes.
So what have those relationships looked like for you, and what have they done in your walk with Jesus?
Yeah, so like I think in first place, what I was journaling on my own, it's because like I was trying to not be deceived by anyone that was going on in my head. I don't want to be like walking with too many Christians, because I want to explore this thing on my own and really have the idea of what Christianity is, because I realized that not because someone told me, because I went through the Bible and read everything, but when I started to connect with other Christians that shared that same faith and shared that same passion for Jesus, it was just like, it was kind of like you walking like with your one eye closed, or like even like both eyes closed. And when I start to walk with other Christians, was kind of like, oh, now my eyes are really open to what Jesus is, because Jesus is community as well. And I start like learning from them, connecting with them, and, going to their place and having food together, which like are things that you read in the Bible, like people sharing food together and talking about God and sharing life together, and all that experience started to change my heart, change my mind, because I also I had like a lot of issues before, like trusting issues, relationship issues. I would not trust people really well, and it was just like God transforming my heart slowly. Yeah, so being part of a community was amazing, was life changing to me.
And what have the people around you noticed? The people who knew you before you were a Christian, and now they can see the change in you. How has that been? What have they noticed? What kind of conversations has that brought up with friends or family who you knew from before then?
Yeah, before I was the guy that was always like doing some stupid thing, like beating someone up, or drunk, or, sleeping, because I had a group of friends that was like always like drunk or doing something stupid. And now I'm kind of a reference to them, now like some of them became Christians.
Really?
Yes, some of them became Christians. One of them just baptized a few weeks ago. Another one will get baptized soon. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm having like meetings with some friends like weekly, where we talk about life, and we talk about the Bible. And it's kind of like I'm a person now that they go to like ask for suggestions about something in their lives.
Wow.
So I went through the crazy guy to like the guy where people go like to, try to to have like suggestions or things like that.
Wow, you went from crazy guy to wise guy. Nice.
Not wise, but you know, like where people kind of like have good balance with like, okay, Kai now has something good to say.
Yeah.
How did they come to faith? Were you a part of their faith journey?
Yes, like there is like a couple of friends that they have like a shop, like a tint shop for windows, like car windows.
Yeah.
Since I became a Christian, wherever I go there, I go in their place, and they're like, I pray for the place, I pray for them, and you know, like it kind of like always sharing with them like what, like, and they saw like the difference in my life as well. I don't think like even sharing means anything. It's just about seeing like the difference on who I was and who I am. And so like every time go there, pray for them. After like months, someone else went in their shop and invited them to go to church. So they go to church and they give their life to Jesus.
Amazing.
So it's kind of like when like Paul says like some will see it, some will, you know, and you go for that, you know, like you're not gonna be always the guy that will do the whole job, you know. God will use different people.
How would you encourage someone else who's thinking about how they interact with people who aren't Christians? How can they be thinking about sharing their faith and living out their faith with those around them?
Yeah, I think first of all is like living life with Jesus. First of all, like really like having intimacy and relationship with Jesus and the Holy Spirit. I think second step, pray for your friends. You know, it's really important to pray for people before you even interact with them. I think there is like an aspect of it's not about us, it's not us that does the whole job, it's the Spirit of God. And when we start praying for them, it's really positive and powerful. And, you know, share Jesus, you know, share like not like being weird, but like share Jesus in a good way, you know, because I've noted that a lot of people don't actually like share Jesus with their friends. They kind of like trying to, you know, be cool with everyone, and ended up not like really saying what Christianity is really about, what Jesus is really about. People like they go like just like these small things about Christianity, and I think just like try to be with Jesus in first place and pray, and after like try to share more with their friends, you know, because if you have friendship with someone, it's a really good way in.
So thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you for
It's been
joining.
great to have
It was
you,
a
Kai.
pleasure.
Well, that was our conversation with Kai. What a crazy story, honestly, to go from, I guess, growing up in the favelas of Brazil to then following a football career, then getting injured, being involved in drug dealing, getting kidnapped, and then finding Jesus. You're like, he deserves a movie for that, doesn't he?
You know what? I love how casually he was just like,
He's
and
like,
I got kidnapped.
And I got kidnapped. There you go.
Like, he's just brushed that under the
I know,
carpet, mate.
I know, it's amazing. But absolutely love that he is then going around and chatting to other people about Jesus. He's so passionate about other people who were like him and didn't know the first thing about Jesus, and he is now sharing that with those around him. That was amazing. Our story from Kai.
And next up, let's hear from Laura.
Hey, Laura.
Hey,
Welcome to the podcast. So good to have you with us. Thank you for coming.
thank you for having me.
Tell us a bit about yourself. Who are you?
I'm a student nurse in Southampton. I like running. I like swimming.
Quality. I mean, I suppose as a nurse, you don't really get much time to do much else.
No. When we're not on placement, we get a bit more time. But yeah.
So you're not on placement right now.
No.
Hence why you've got time.
That's why you're here. Makes sense.
Yeah. What was your last placement on?
I was in Australia.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's pretty fun.
Okay,
Yeah, that was my
nice.
last placement.
How long are you there for?
10 weeks.
10 weeks. What's the best thing that we should know about Australia?
Yeah.
Is
I
it
like the sea
Okay, that's
and
good.
like the surf culture.
Okay.
I don't surf, but
I was going to ask, are you a surfer?
You like the culture around it?
Yeah.
Better than the surf culture in Southampton? Nice. Good to know.
Did you see any snakes?
yes, one on placement.
And was it in the toilet?
Scary.
No, it was in the bins.
In the bins.
Yeah.
Snakes getting some food, I guess.
Is it true that the water turns the other way when you like?
Oh, yeah.
empty
Southern Hemisphere apparently means that the plug hole goes the other way. This is really good content.
I didn't look down the plug.
Listen,
That's what Josh is interested in.
I am. Yeah. Did you see any scary spiders?
No, thankfully not.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I was actually terrified. I told every single person before I went that I was going to get eaten by a snake or a spider. but thankfully
you survived.
Yeah.
Praise the Lord.
done. Yeah.
There is a God. Wow. Who knew? Tell us about your life. What was your childhood like? I'm thinking a bit about like your family, but friends and spirituality and everything. Who are you? Where did you come from?
I grew up in a Christian primary school, which I feel like some people say, but I think like that was quite fundamental because I gained a knowledge of like who Jesus was. My family wasn't Christian. So yeah, outside of school, that was kind of like it basically. I always loved assemblies. I thought it was just so fun to just like sing and worship and praise Jesus. But yeah, I didn't really know that I could have a personal relationship with him. So yeah, I liked school, just that like environment. And then outside of that, I was like a gymnast. So I grew up and my friends were like there as well. But yeah, so I went to secondary school and that was kind of where we didn't have that anymore. I think everyone's meant to have like religious studies, but we didn't really do that. So yeah, basically I kind of like saw it in primary school and then I saw faith at like Christmas and Easter. I played the clarinet, so I used to be like in all the carol services. So
Nice.
we'd hear like the reading and I'd be like, wow. I used to think a vicar was really cool. I was like, that would be such a fun
Really?
job to have.
Past tense. No longer thinking that
You
vicars
used
are
to
really
think it was
cool.
I still think vicars are cool. But yeah, I was like, that's like a fun place to be. That was kind of as far as my faith went. And then, yeah, secondary school, like life, things kind of got a little bit tricky. It's hard going to like a new big place, lots of changes and lots of things going on. And I was always quite a big like perfectionist. So things kind of started to slip a little bit and just like get quite tricky in secondary school. Faith kind of wasn't really part of it. I didn't really think about Jesus again other than at Christmas and Easter time. Yeah, went into sixth form and COVID happened, that thing. Yeah.
Joyful.
And yeah. And yeah, then I ended up, basically throughout secondary school, I ended up developing an eating disorder. And so kind of that was like where I channeled all of my perfectionism and where I channeled all of my like struggles and hardships in life, which kind of then contributed as the end result in sixth form. I had to take a year out of school and I was in hospital. And it was kind of this like time where for the first time ever I had to pause and I wasn't like able to just do all the things I was doing and fill all those gaps. And yeah, it was like the first time where I just couldn't be like a perfectionist. I couldn't follow the rules I wanted to, and I couldn't follow the rules they wanted me to follow in hospital. It was the first time I didn't get to have Christmas with my family. So it was probably one of the first times I'd also thought about kind of what Christmas meant. Lots of the other girls and guys went home, but I stayed in the hospital. And so, yeah, it was kind of just this tricky time. Lots of your freedom gets taken away in hospital. So it was kind of this time where I realized, yeah, I was just stuck in these four walls. I wasn't allowed to school. I wasn't allowed out of like arm's reach of most staff most of the time. So it was kind of just this like hard, dark place where I really had to like pause, reflect, and eventually like, yeah, turn the corner, got out and then was like, cool. I think I'm going to go to uni and become a nurse. And that's kind of what brought me to here.
And then, so you came to uni, Southampton?
Yeah.
Why Southampton?
I wanted to be near the beach, which
Nice.
a little bit of a letdown because there's not really beaches here. I'm closer to a beach back home. Yeah.
Really? So where is the nearest beach? Why has Southampton not got a beach?
It has got one beach, but apparently not really meant to swim in it. But I've swum in it a few times, like Western Shore. I think that's what it's called. I don't know. Our nearest beach that I go to is Highcliff in Bournemouth.
In Bournemouth?
Yeah,
It's a
that's
whole
what
I
other
don't
go to
city.
understand why
beach.
you can't. What? There's no sand.
I don't think, not really. There are some.
It's just the sea. You're straight at the sea.
Yeah. There's a
see.
little bit of sand at Western
Okay.
Shore, but it's basically where all the cruise ships go.
Okay.
So most people advise not to swim there.
It's because it's basically all a port.
Yeah.
Oh, it's all in port.
It's almost heated. It's quite warm there.
Really?
Oh, well.
I would
Wow.
say it's
That's
warmer
quite a
than here.
glowing recommendation for it, yeah.
The heated pools of Southampton.
Very muddy though.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you come to uni. What's happening at uni?
Lots of stuff. I'd never drank. I just like grew up not really drinking. I never really like swore. I never wanted to go out. Like those were kind of like just values I held in life. I also think maybe having to take that time out of basically the world at the time when most people start to like gain those friendships and start going out. I kind of didn't have that. So I watched everyone else around me like going out and I was like, okay, I'll join them. Like I'll have a go. Yeah, didn't know Jesus then. So didn't really like think much of it. So I was out partying, I was out drinking, I was out clubbing. And yeah, just not really loving life, but out really late each night. And that was kind of just the routine of it all. And we had 9 a.m. lectures. And so quickly I got quite tired. Quickly I found I was like slipping a little bit. I hadn't been out of hospital very long anyway when I'd come to uni. And yeah, pretty quickly things weren't really going like fabulously. And yeah, I started to realize that I was like slipping back, I think, into like old habits a little bit. My dream of coming to uni and that being the thing that was like gonna fix everything kind of really wasn't gonna fix things. What am I doing then? Like, what am I recovering for? What's going on? And I was like, I don't want to go back. Like, I don't want to go back to an eating disorder. I don't want to go back to those like behaviors. But instead of like reaching out for help, I kind of just was like, what am I doing? So yeah, towards the end of my first term of uni, I was like, well, I don't know if I really want to be here anymore. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. And so, yeah, just before Christmas time, I made an attempt to take my life. And I didn't reach out for help, but my mum said that she kind of just had this feeling. People around were kind of aware that I wasn't doing great. So my mum contacted my friends who came and got me and took me to hospital. And then a few days later, I woke up again and I was like, I was a bit angry. I was a bit like, what's going on? Like, I don't want to be here. And then, I went home for the Christmas holidays, came back to uni. Some of my friends had kind of like found out what was going on. And then this legend of a girl in my tutor group called Pebble had invited one of the other girls in our tutor group to church. And I was like, why didn't you invite me? Like, I want to come to this thing. So the next week she invited me to church and I came here.
Wow. What made you say yes?
I think I had always like had this hunger. Like I loved in primary school and I loved the Christmas services. I just loved that like idea of church. I think I did actually spend some time praying before coming to uni. I didn't really know what I was doing, but I found myself like trying to learn to pray a few times before coming to uni, just in the summer holidays. Yeah, I just always wanted to go. When I was a kid, I'd ask mom sometimes if we could go, but we were like always busy. Like gymnastics was like kept us busy, and I loved gymnastics, so I was kind of like, cool. Like it didn't take a lot of persuading. Like if she said no, I was like, all right, well, yeah.
And you were just chomping at the bit, raging that your mate had invited someone else.
Fuming.
What you heard that someone else had been invited? Did they go?
Yes, they went. So they'd gone the week before, and they came again with me the following week. Wow. Yeah.
And what did you send them a message? Say, how dare you? I was waiting for this invite for years.
I can't really remember. Yeah, I don't know exactly. But all I remember was I didn't really realise she was Christian before, this friend in my tutor group. And so I was just like, you went to church? Like, why couldn't, I just wanted to go. So she brought me along the next week.
So what was it like? You went to church. What happened?
It was so nice. I basically just walked through the doors and I was like, it's kind of like just stepping back into primary school. Like everyone's happy. Everyone's here to just like sing and worship. Yeah, I don't remember a lot of like each like individual bit, but I just remember walking in and just feeling so peaceful and so like, this is kind of where I want to be. Like, this is nice. And the service was on, I think it was on like why Jesus died for us, basically. And I was just like, okay, like I kind of just understood it. I didn't really have any questions. I still had my knowledge of like Jesus and God from that I'd learned throughout life, but didn't know that I could have a relationship myself. Didn't really know that like God could speak to us. Didn't really know any of that kind of stuff. But in the worship at the end, I just had this like overwhelming like sense, and probably the only time I've really like heard God's voice. And I just had like such a sense of the words that like Jesus died, and that meant that I didn't need to.
Wow.
And I was just like, okay. And like something kind of changed there. And then I didn't tell my friend for months, I don't think, but like, something changed. I like went home that day and I like wrote it on a Post-it note and it was like stuck on my wall. I still have the Post-it note. And I was just like, okay, like I knew something had changed. And I guess in that moment had kind of made a promise with God that like I wasn't going to try again. Because I actively until that moment had still been like, it's okay, like I will try and end my life again. And like that was what was giving me hope. And now all of a sudden I was like, I don't have to. And it kind of just progressed from there. Yeah.
So what happened next?
I actually read through my diary recently and it's actually just crazy. Like very subtly, I just kind of throw in like So the following week I went to church and I really wanted to go forwards for prayer. I was like, I can't go forwards for prayer because I'm trying to live in this secret world that I haven't like found who Jesus is. And my friend went forwards for prayer. So I was like, great, she's not looking, I can go. So like went forwards for prayer and I kind of stood at the front and I was like, what have I done? I don't know how to ask for prayer. So I just stood there in silence and this girl came over and like was like, should I pray for you? And I was like, okay. I literally just couldn't say anything. And she just prayed and just shared like all the things that like I would have asked for. She was like, I'm in recovery from an eating disorder. And I was like, what? Like, this is crazy. So like that moment I was kind of like, okay, maybe God does exist, like all over again. The following week, my friend wasn't around and I was like, well, I'm going to go anyway. So I went to church.
On your own?
Yeah, just like turned up.
Whoa.
And the only thing I wrote in my diary was like, people kept talking to me. It was a bit annoying because I was so like introverted.
Classic Christians, eh?
Yeah. It was like people kept talking to me. It was really annoying, but I really felt God's presence. And that's it. I just carried on with my
In
day.
spite of the church,
Yeah.
you still met God.
Yeah. And then like the next week, it's like, we ate bread and wine this week at church.
No.
And then it's like, they shared a word and I responded to it and I like knelt at the front and got prayer. And I'm like, this is crazy. This is like week 4 of going to church. And yeah, it basically just like each week it like continues on like when I read back. But yeah, and I went home, I think it was for the Easter holidays. And like my car, it's the only time I didn't have a car actually since passing, was broken. So my mum took me to church. And then the next week I went with my like very first friend. I've known her since I was born and her mum. And then I came back again to Southampton. So yeah, things like changed and like Sunday was giving me so much hope, but I hadn't really let God in more than that. Like I still hadn't quite conceptualized that it could be more than just a Sunday. So it was so hopeful. It was like so good. It was so peaceful. And each week I was like, I'll just get to Sunday. I'll get to Sunday. I'll get to Sunday. And yeah, over time, I guess like stresses came back in a little bit and things like began to feel a little bit hard. And suddenly like the period between Sunday to Sunday was quite long. I was like, whoa, this is hard. And yeah, eventually I think I just kind of was like, oh, I'll just like turn back to some old habits. Like, that's fine. And yeah, I was like, okay. And then over time I was like, oh, I don't know if I really want to be here. Like the old thoughts were kind of coming back in. But like this time I kind of just reached out for help before. So like I remember being like, okay, this is like, it's not going well. And I was like, I don't know if I want to be here, blah, blah, blah. Like got to the moment where I was like, okay, I think I'm like not going to be here. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, let me just like go and say hi to my friend, like turn up on her doorstep. And I was like, I'm not okay. And like, she like helped fix the problem and we like reached out for help again. So I was trying again. And then I was like, no, this is just not for me. So I left my house like one day, just in the middle of the week. And I was like, I don't know if I really want to be here. Like, I was like, I think my only aim is to just like not make it back home. Like, I just don't want to be here. I just, kind of want things to end. So I left my house, obviously not in a very clear headspace, not really like in my sound mind. And pretty soon realized I was lost. I was like, I have no idea where I am. My sense of direction has never been good anyway. But I was like, I've got no idea where I am. And I was just like walking. And then I was like, oh, I feel like I'm quite close to St. Mary's. Like, I think I'm like somewhere near it. And then literally like 20 seconds later, I like appear out the front here. And I was like, whoa. So I walked up to the front of the church and I was just like, I think I had like a fleeting thought as I was walking up to the church of maybe a little bit of anger towards God. Like I was like, oh, how dare you? Like, I just didn't want to be here. But I leant against the walls of the church. It was locked. So I just sat outside for quite a while and I just like cried and I like worshipped and I sang songs that I'd only like recently learned, just like out loud. People were walking past and I was just like, oh. And I think that was kind of where I was like, oh, like he exists outside of a church. He has got me. Like his promises are still true. Like he's going to keep saving me. And that was kind of where things changed.
I think that's really helpful. I think some people can assume the second that you encounter Jesus, everything else just disappears and it doesn't become a battle anymore. It's suddenly just gone. And for some people that might be true, but I imagine for a lot of people listening, like they would resonate with your story in so many ways. What would you say to someone who is listening and they're still stuck in that and they're still finding it really, really difficult? What would you say just to encourage them to speak wisdom into their life or truth?
I think I'd say like keep going. I think God has a good plan, and actually if he had just like magically in an instant fixed everything, I think I would have found that so hard. And I think also just like yeah, just keep like digging in, like keep attending things, keep doing the things that feel comfortable to do. If it feels too hard to do like bigger things. And I think just like trusting him, because he really like does have you held, because yeah, I literally was like, okay, I'm done kind of thing. And then he's like, no, you're not. Yeah. And my friend's mum got me a Bible pretty soon after that.
That's great.
And she was like, the one condition is that you read it. And I was like, okay. And I picked this like beautiful Bible. And yeah, that definitely helped as well.
Yeah, that's great.
So up until this point, you weren't even reading the Bible?
No. I think I was listening to the Bible in a year occasionally on placement. I was like driving in the car and listening to it. But yeah, I hadn't.
But you're already encountering this much of the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
And you've not even got into scripture yet.
Yeah.
Wow. And what impact, you said it helped. What impact did reading scripture have? Where did you start?
I actually think I started in the book of James, which everyone says is such
I
a
love
rogue
James.
book.
It's a good book.
Yeah, it's my favourite book.
I love
Like,
it.
I literally just love it. I love how like, he's just like this.
Yeah,
like, that's
good.
And I'm like, okay, thanks. That's like great. It's laid out for me. I think just like, yeah, it was spending time to reflect and to like just draw closer to God. Like I would just spend so long each morning being like, okay, now I get to read my Bible. And I'd always wanted to read the Bible. Like people used to go and do the readings, you know, like when you read at Christmas, and I'd be like, I want to be one of those people. But yeah, I was such an introvert at school. No one ever picked me to read the Bible. So I was like, darn it. But yeah, I'd always wanted to. So I think I just had such an excitement about it. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm so ready to just...
It's fascinating that you said previously for so long you were open to going to church, but you didn't until
Yeah.
you were invited. And for so long you were intrigued in reading the Bible, but you
Yeah.
didn't until someone
Yeah.
gave them to you. And I think that's the power of, I guess, students listening who are Christians. It's like, you don't realise, like, your housemates may well be hungry to come along to church, but you've just not covered that topic yet. You've not invited them yet, and they
Yeah.
may well say yes, even if you've already thought in your mind they're probably going to say no. Same with the Bible, and like
Yeah.
giving your mates or your housemates or your course mates a Bible. You never know the impact it's going to have. You never know the history or the story leading up to them receiving that Bible and wanting to read through it and being so hungry to discover more of
Yeah.
Jesus. It's great.
So good. So what happened next?
We had Focus coming up. It's like a little go away camping trip. And I was like, I kind of want to go to this. So yeah, my friend who brought me along, she was like, well, we could go. And I was like, it's in placement. And she was kind of like, why don't we just trust in God? And I was like, okay, all right.
Can you imagine?
Okay.
Yeah, but I wasn't quite ready to trust in God and spend the money on the ticket.
Sure.
Yeah.
So instead we signed up to kids because then it was free.
Great. Okay.
So we signed up to kids and I was like, all right, we're going for this. Like we're going to go and do kids. The placement gave us the time off, so we got to go. And it was like the most joyful thing ever. Because like I had always had a hunger to go to church. Like throughout life, when I look back, I like can see little bits. And suddenly I was like, I'd rather be in here than with the adults. I was like, I get to see what it would have been like to like go to kids' church,
Yeah.
like to see what it would have been like to go on like a church camp and all this other stuff. So me and my friend, we led a little group together, which was so special, I think, probably for her as well as for me. And then like in the evenings, we got to like go to the big top and like worship. And it was so good. Quite overwhelming, I think, because I was still quite new to everything. And my friend actually reminded me the other day that apparently in the car on the way back, I was like, I don't know if I want to be a Christian.
After Focus.
And she was like, that's not the point of Focus. So there was like battles to have. And actually, the final night there, I remember it being really hard, but also like seeing God move and being like, oh, this is quite cool. And then we signed up to go on Alpha quite like late. Like we'd been coming to church together for like 9 months, but we were like, yeah, we'll do Alpha together. She'd never done Alpha either. And I remember like sitting around this table and she'd ask a question and I'd be like, I thought you knew everything. And like, it was just, it was this time where I was like, maybe people don't, because I discounted myself from so much because of how little I would have known. I was like, well, I haven't been going to church for like 20 years. So like, I can't do anything. Whereas actually like everyone still has questions and everyone's still working through things. And it was kind of that time where I was like, I want to get baptized. She was like, okay. So I told our like vicar and then planned in to get baptized.
Amazing. And
Wow.
did your family come to that?
Yeah.
How did they find it?
They really enjoyed it. So my mum came, my auntie came, my dad came. Actually, lots of people came. My housemates came. The girls who had found me in my first term when I'd tried to take my life came as well, and they like bawled their eyes out. Yeah, my mom was like, afterwards, she was like, I know you think I don't believe, but like seeing you now, I do. And I was like, oh, like this is crazy. And my dad was just happy. He was like, it was really nice to see you happy. And I was like, yeah. So yeah, they came along, and I think it was just this moment, I reckon, where they were like, I think she's like not going to turn back. It was probably quite comforting for them.
Yeah.
I just love how you were sharing that. Was her name Pebble, the friend that invited you, and like you go to Alpha with her, and you turn around to her, and you're looking at her like, I really thought you knew all of this stuff. And like, there's so many students out there who are like, I don't know enough to invite my mates. I don't know enough to start that conversation. But just irrespective of how much Pebble knew, no hate to Pebble. She's a legend. We're a big fan. But her faith, her love for you and for those around her meant that you now get to walk with Jesus. And even better, you're sharing your story with those around you. You're just spilling out Jesus's light into those around you. All because ultimately Jesus. But it all began, the ball got rolling when Pebble invited someone else to church.
It's great.
Like the boldness of her faith is so encouraging. And there are so many students out there, I think, who maybe discount themselves, maybe think, I can't do that. I don't know enough. Hey, that's the Lord, isn't it? Have you got any encouragements for those people listening who are thinking, how do I share my faith with my mates? What would you say to them? I
would say do it. Like, even if you feel like you can't, like, I would just share it in some kind of a way, whether it's just saying, like, I went to church on Sunday, and seeing if they're intrigued, if you're too nervous to just like outright invite them. But yeah, I would say share your faith in whatever feels like comfortable now. So whether that is like preaching the whole gospel to them, or just asking to read the Bible with them, or if you feel, I guess, kind of like Pebble did, if maybe she doesn't feel like she can just share the whole thing, just like invite them to church. That would be my main encouragement. And I think something that I do most often is I would just invite someone to church. I just think it's so special about even if you can't share it, then you can bring someone in, and was an 1.5 hour service where someone else will share it for you if you feel like you can't. There is probably no better gift to offer somebody else than to be like, here's Jesus. Because if Pebble hadn't extended it to me, then I might not know him. And with how life was going, I might not even be here. So I think, you don't really know what's going on in someone's life. I hadn't extended any kind of an expression of interest other than like that one moment. And then for 9 months, probably didn't really tell her anything that was going on in my faith. So I would just say, invite people.
Wow, that's so good. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
It's been so good to have you on the podcast.
So that was Laura. Wasn't that amazing? Just such a beautiful story, and one that I just didn't really have words when she first told me. It was absolutely beautiful. I was really struck by just her hunger. Like she was saying, from primary school, that she was loving the Bible, loving church, wanted more of it, was asking to go to church, which I think is bonkers. And then goes to uni, her mate gets invited, and she kicks up a fuss because she wasn't.
I know.
Like, what if that is not the perfect analogy to tell, story, the perfect story to tell students about why they should be inviting their mates?
Definitely.
I don't know what it is.
Definitely. And we've got something a little bit different coming up for you now. We thought, because we had such great conversations with both Kai and Laura, that actually we would interview them together, because both of them have been working together to head out onto the streets and to chat with students specifically about the love of Jesus. So for this next section, we're going to be chatting to both of them, hearing a little bit about what mission and evangelism looks like and their heart behind it.
Okay, thank you guys so much for being on the podcast. And we've already heard both of your stories so far. Thank you so much for sharing them. I've been incredibly encouraged. I'm assuming you have been too.
Of course I have. It's been an absolute treat to hear your stories, your testimonies, and just the power of God transforming both of your lives. You can see the joy on both of your faces. And I guess why we wanted to continue just to chat to you guys is the shift from not knowing Jesus to knowing Jesus to now wanting to tell people about it. And I know for both of you, there's been a real heart for evangelism and for mission and for chatting to other people about Jesus. Can you tell us like a little bit about what that has looked like for both of you individually, but also together as well?
I think that for me, like it starting was actually just like quite a big answer to prayer. It was pretty soon after both Kai and I got baptized that we'd started doing it. And yeah, one day at church, I just like went up to say hi to one of my friends, and she was stood next to this guy called Dan, and he was like, do you want to come out and like share Jesus with some people on the streets? And it was like this moment of like, oh, because for a few weeks before that, I had been praying to feel more comfortable out and about and more confident talking to people. So I think big reminder of being careful what you pray for. Because yeah, I was like, yeah, they were like my two big prayers off the back of some things that had been happening. And so yeah, so Dan was just like, do you want to do this? And I was like, I wanted to say no, but the like every part of me was like, God is answering a prayer right now, and you're meant to be saying yes.
Wow,
Yes.
okay.
So yeah, I said yes, and 4 hours later I was out
Wow.
on the streets of Southampton with him, praying and then going out and meeting people.
And what are you actually doing when you're interacting with people? Are you saying Jesus loves you and then running off? Are you handing them Bibles? Like what did evangelism look like in that?
It looked like the first time we went out, we spent 45 minutes, I think, praying.
Wow.
Just like rooting ourselves in God first and then asking for his direction on who we're going to talk to. And I remember, because I was so nervous, one girl saying like, God is so kind and he's so gentle and he'll like meet you with like kindness where you're at. And I was like, oh, that sounds nice, doesn't it? Like, hopefully he will do that. But I didn't really believe it because I was so like terrified. By the end of praying, I had like felt some direction of places like God wanted us to go or to chat to. So Dan and we went out in pairs. So Dan and his pair went out and followed my directions. And I went with this girl called Millie, and we went a different way. We basically just like, we walked up to this lady and I hadn't really paid any attention. We said hi. The moment she looked up, I was like, oh my goodness, I know her. Like, she won't know me, but I know her. And immediately I was like, oh, Millie's right. God is kind and he will meet us, because I was just terrified. I think I thought if we shared Jesus with anyone, they'd just like, I don't know, hit us, run off. I don't know what I was thinking. So I was like, okay, God is kind. I don't think I shared much then. Millie did some great chatting, some great talking. And this lady was like, oh yeah, like I've been going through lots of hard things. I'd known her because she'd done a few lectures, like nursing lectures. She's a nurse. And I was like, okay. So she won't have a clue who I was because there were so many students. But yeah, she basically shared with us. The end result was like, she just like welled up with emotions. She was so like, I just needed something like this.
Wow.
And so, yeah, Millie offered to pray, and we just stood and we prayed for this lady. And she was so thankful, like so thankful. And then, yeah, she kind of like continued with her day. And that's kind of how we've always done it. Like more like half an hour encounters with people, finding out about them first. And then when there's an introducing Jesus in.
That's cool.
Awesome.
And how about you, Kai?
Yeah, like a bit different from her. Like after the day I baptized, I met them short like after, and then I shared with him like, oh, I would like to share about Jesus with people. He said, oh, I'm looking for someone to do the same. And then we start going. And like I think what I realized at first was just like about loving people on the streets, and not just like tell what you think that they need to hear, but be patient and trying to create connection with them before you're actually talking about Jesus. Like I think it's like they feel much comfortable with that instead of arriving, oh, Jesus loves you and blah blah blah. Now you just like create connections and love them really well. And I felt that by doing that, we've seen so many beautiful like things happening. Like one of the days I went with Dan, we met a Chinese guy called Ben, and like he was chatting with his girlfriend in his phone, and he was very kind. He stopped, like he said to her, I'll call you in a second. And he stayed with us for like 30 minutes. Like we kind of like talked about life, and then we invited him to go, like we shared Jesus with him, and then we invited him to come to church, which he did like the following Sunday. From that Sunday, like Alpha course was starting on the week after, and then he said, oh, I want to come to Alpha. And then he came to Alpha, and then he did the whole Alpha course, and then he started to kind of like, oh, this is really cool. I really feel peace when I come to church.
Wow.
And yeah, he started coming, and his girlfriend came from China. She came with him
Wow.
to church as well. And after all, like he was kind of like at the last year of his university degree, and he went back to China. But it was kind of like he started journaling with God.
Amazing. I also love that for both of you, the natural step after you've come to know Jesus is just to be bold and to share it with other people. I think for some people maybe who've grown up around faith for a very, very long time, there can be a hesitation around mission and evangelism, almost like you overthink it and you get in your head a little bit, whereas it's so exciting to see that you've seen the transformation of Jesus in your life, and you can't help but be like, I know this is terrifying, but actually people need to know about this Jesus that I've encountered. So yeah, it's amazing. Are there any other stories that come to mind as you think about the evangelism that you've been doing or the people that you've been chatting to? Are there particular stories that come to mind when you've been doing that?
I have quite like a short, like quite cool, funny one. One time we were following like the direction of where we thought we should go, like where we felt like God was leading us. And we were just chatting to this girl for quite a long time. And basically I was like, oh, it's getting to 6:00. Like our service is about to start. Like we can either make the decision to like stay and chat, just stay here with her, or we can invite her with us. So yeah, my friends, we invited her to church. And I brought her along. We sat quite tucked away at the back, and I was just like sat quietly with her. And then at the end of the service, our young adults pastor had been preaching, and he came over to the back and he was like, hey, to this girl. And I was like, okay. And then he was like, Laura, how do you know this? I can't remember her name, but he was like, how do you know her? And he was like, she's my tattoo artist. Like, she's done my tattoos. And I was like, sorry, what? And this girl had no memory of doing his tattoos. So he rolled up his sleeve and showed his tattoos. And she was like, yeah,
That is
I
my
did
work.
them. Yeah. So our young adults pastor's tattoo artist just like
That's
randomly
so
came
cool.
along and heard him preach. He preached and then
that's really
came and
cool.
said, hey, which I just think is just like, I don't know, it's just this like little moment of like, yeah, she probably hasn't seen many of her tattoo clients preach. No. So it was just quite a nice little moment.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, you can't write it, can you?
No.
Like the way that the Lord works is just, I mean, it's so bonkers, but so specific.
Yeah.
The chances of meeting the pastor's tattoo artist
Yeah.
is so niche. But then you think, oh, what else is the Lord doing in this person's life, in so many other people that we speak to? You know, just we think about our part. What part are other people playing in other people's way?
Yeah.
I was reminded about a guy like from Iran that I met last year, and then I started sharing Jesus with him, started like kind of journeying with him. At a certain point, he left, like he was not really keen to be meeting or coming to church. 3 weeks ago, this guy contacted me and said, oh, I want to meet up and I want to go to church. And we ended up meeting at the university, and there was another guy from Iran as well, and he was also kind of hungry to know about Jesus. And I started sharing about the love of Jesus, and then it came to my mind, it was certainly the Holy Spirit invited me to share with them the prodigal son story. And then I shared with them and say, oh, this is what Jesus is like, you know. He's always willing to have you back as soon as you want to, you know. And then like they had their eyes full of tears at that time. And yesterday, one of them called me and said, are you going to church this evening? I said, no, I'm not going. I usually go in the morning. And she said, oh, I want to go to church. And I said, okay, I'll go with you in that case. And they came yesterday, and we signed up for starting Alpha tomorrow, Tuesday. So like kind of, you know, like sometimes it's different, you know, sometimes probably someone else spoke about Jesus to them. And now he's like reaching out to me, and I'm going to restart walking and discipling him again.
Come on, that's so
amazing.
exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that what you've just shared there, your willingness to be available, the space that you're willing to make, is a big credit to you, but also to the way that Jesus does things, isn't it? He made so much space, and the way that you're so willing to say, well, yeah, sure, I'm going to switch up my plans and make space for you, is so inspirational and so beautiful, and clearly has been quite key in enabling these guys to come to church with you, because you could have just said, nah, I'm good, thanks. I'm going in the morning, you can go in the evening, have a nice time. But your desire to be with them and make space for them is beautiful and speaks so clearly of the love that you have for them.
I feel like it's about what she just mentioned, when you walk for a long time without knowing God, without knowing his love and everything. I walked without God in my life for 27 years, and then it was all darkness. And when you get to know this light and it's so beautiful, you want to tell everyone, and you want to make sure that, you're doing the right thing so they can get to know Jesus. And it's just like, you want to, because you've been walking in darkness for so long.
Do you find it easy to make space, both of you? For me, I find it very easy to be intentional. Okay, I'm going out now to go and talk to people. But then I'm finishing in 2 hours' time. And after that, I'm off the clock. If you want to talk about Jesus after that, good luck. How do you find it? Do you feel that you're able to make space quite easily, that you're able to be stoppable? If that is the case, is that something which has always been the case, or have you seen a shift in that?
I think I started with the desire of sharing Jesus because I was reading in the Bible, and I wanted also to let people know about that thing that was happening inside of me, and but having people that have that same desire around you, it's really important. Like Laura, we have this friend of us, Dan, have 2 other friends that are now they went to do missions, So it's kind of like we had a missional group, they had this missional heart where everybody loved Jesus and everybody loved to share Jesus as well. So I think that makes total difference in when you are trying to share Jesus with people, that community of people that have the same intentions and the same desire.
That's so true. That's very true.
No, I would definitely agree. I think having those people around you is so important. I think also just the joy that comes with it. Only yesterday I put on my kids team top to go and do kids, and I was just I just feel as joyful now as I did the first time I walked into church.
Wow. Yeah,
it's still sometimes I'm whoa, I get to go to church after so long of not. So I think that probably also just makes you more interruptible.
Yeah.
Makes you more okay, because the joy is still so there. And I also just think maybe over time, at the beginning, definitely I would not have been interruptible. If someone had interrupted me, not on that Sunday that I was meant to be going, I would have been oh my goodness, someone's talking to me. Because I would have just been so shy.
Yeah.
Regardless of sharing Jesus or just having a conversation. But I think definitely it's so good for your spiritual growth as well. The whole of last year. My mom would say Australia was what, she's you've changed so much. But last year is where so much changed. And the whole of last year was when we were really making the time each Sunday. Like Kai said, 2 of our friends have gone on mission trips now. So it's kind of they're out not in Southampton sharing Jesus. But it definitely changes, I think, also just grows your faith.
Yeah.
So then you want to do it more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I just say
Go
something? It's important to say as well, because of the group, is the good the beauty of it. It's because sometimes you don't want to go out, you want to do your own thing, let's be honest, but someone else is going out and they invite you and you feel bad to not go. So you go as well, and then it ended up being a very beautiful night where people, you can pray for people and you can share Jesus. I need to be honest with this.
That's so good. How do you feel that going out, being intentional about speaking to people on the streets, how do you feel that has, intersected with the way that you speak to those around you? Your friends and family, course mates, your immediate people. Did you feel, perhaps when you first started, that it was easier to talk to people close to you? Or was it easier to talk to people that you didn't really know? And how did the 2 of them interact with each other? I
think at the very beginning, I was someone who, after I first came to church, I was everyone needs to come to church. Everyone, it's so exciting, which probably isn't the best way to go around it always. But I think I was so nervous to share Jesus. So then learning to share, even though I was so scared of strangers, learning to share with strangers was almost easier, I think, because there was less implications. You didn't really know them. It just felt a little bit easier. And actually, like, I think I've avoided telling friends and family sometimes because I'm just like, oh, it's a little bit awkward doing nursing. We're not home massive amounts of time. So actually, the people who knew me before I knew Jesus, I haven't seen loads. And yeah, I think it's more recently that I'm like, okay, like, I feel comfortable enough to be sharing more. Yeah.
Yeah, like with me, when I became a Christian, because it was kind of like a crazy change in my life, it kind of like I started to share Jesus with everybody I know. Like I started telling everybody what happened in my life and had good impact in some of my friends. But where like I moved to Southampton and I was living with different people and I was oversharing sometimes, and then I realized that there is like a kind of balance that you go with that. Like you wanna share Jesus with love, but you also want to respect the person that you're sharing with. Sometimes they don't really want to know, and you still want to have them around you. So you won't be sharing that often, but you're gonna live your life in a way that honors Jesus and honors God, and they will see that.
That's so good.
Great.
That's so helpful.
And just as we come into land, for students who are listening, they've been inspired as they've heard you guys speak.
I know I have been.
Yeah, hopefully they've been inspired to consider going out onto the street and chatting to people about Jesus. But the thing that they're stuck with is knowing what to say. Like they know it's going to be scary. They know there are some people that they can gather, but they're thinking, how on earth do I start this conversation? And what on earth do I say once I've started this conversation? What advice or wisdom would you give anyone who's listening?
I would start with prayer, I think.
Yeah.
Like,
Nice.
that is so important. And actually, it takes so much of the fear away if you ask God first, like, where should I go? Can you like tell me who I should speak to? And then if you see someone who kind of matches the description, you're like, okay. Like the fear suddenly decreases so much because you're like, okay.
Good.
And then I think we've always just like chatted to people first, get to know them first. And then when there is a like convenient slot, you don't need to go in and be like, have you met Jesus? If that feels overwhelming. There's a time and a space for that kind of evangelism. And some people will be really gifted in that. But like you can start with just like, hey, like, how are you doing? Like, see how they're doing. And then when you find an in, that's normally where I would be like, okay.
That's great. That's really helpful. How about you, Kai?
Like a very like easy way of starting a conversation that I would say like we're living in a world that everybody stays on the phone most of the time, and sometimes you're gonna see people on their phones, and you can just approach them and say like, we're just going around today. And checking on people if you're okay, because we know that with technology and the weather here, like it's not so helpful sometimes to get out and connect with people. And I would like to know how you are, and that simple question can, start a conversation.
Yeah, that's really helpful. And any final thing that you would want to say to any students who are listening at the moment?
Yeah, I think like we were reflecting earlier about how sometimes you don't quite know what's going on in people's life. The same as Pebble had no idea really what was going on in mine. Sometimes we don't, particularly I think in students, maybe we don't always commit to things as busy lives, like nurses go on placement, you go home for holidays. You might not always see the fruit of the seeds that are like being planted, but sometimes they are being planted. Like recently I hadn't seen someone for a few weeks from my Alpha table, and they came along. They were like, I prayed last week. They didn't want to pray when we were then praying together, but they experienced, they might not know it as the Holy Spirit yet, but like they got emotional. They asked for a Bible afterwards. We got to give them a Fusion Bible.
Come on.
But yeah, you won't know the fruit of everything. And I think like, don't be discouraged in that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, for weeks, people were chatting to me at church, and the only thing that I reflected from was that I didn't like people chatting to me, but I was meeting God's presence. So people might not tell you everything, but God's still moving.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, like I would say that I learned something with Fusion. It was like Will was always saying that there is a research around Fusion that says that if you invite a friend to go to church and you're not a bad person, you're a good influence and they love you, they are most likely to go.
Yeah.
Really, like
Definitely.
just, invite people, even when you feel fear or you feel that people will reject you, but they will reject Jesus at the end. They're not rejecting you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
so
really,
true.
really, really helpful. Thank you both so much for your time and for sharing your story, being vulnerable, being honest, but also just sharing your experiences, the highs and lows of life, but also the excitement of faith and everything it is that Jesus is doing in your life. Thank you guys so much. Well, that was our further conversation with both Kai and Laura. Amazing to hear the stories of what they're doing.
So good.
Yeah, so good. And I just absolutely love that she dropped the Fusion Bibles in there.
Let's go.
As Fusion, we're trying to give away, we would love to gift 1,000 Bibles to students who are exploring faith in Jesus. It is an amazing opportunity to put the living, breathing word of God into a generation of students.
So, I mean, students, take the hint.
Yeah.
Like, if you've got a mate, 1 in 3
Come on.
of your mates who aren't Christians yet would read the Bible with you. So if you've got a mate who you think might be up for it, go to studentbible.org and get one for free, sent to you, gifted to your mate. You can't get a better deal than that.
You absolutely can't. Why don't we pray to finish this episode, and then we will join you next time for our second part of our episode here in Southampton. But let's pray. God, we thank you so much for this beautiful city. We thank you for the thousands and thousands of years of worship and prayer that has been the foundation of this city. And God, we thank you for the fruit and the stories that we are continuing to hear from students who are being awakened to you in Southampton. We thank you for those who are already being bold in heading out and telling more students about the love of Jesus. And we continue to pray for a huge harvest in this city as students encounter your love, Jesus, and find home in their local church. Amen.
Amen.